I'll call on each person. Just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do real quickly. And some of us are real well known, some of us aren't. So I'm just going to follow my screen around. So we'll start with Marina Man. Skip.
Oh. Hello.
Skip.
Hello.
Skip. Okay. Well, Skip's still working. So I'm the Skip from Skip over to Brian because he's next on mine. Brian from Minnesota.
Okay. Hi guys. Brian from Minnesota we started our shop, or I started our shop in 2000. Solely British classics. BMC for Brian McCullough. For some reason, everybody's BMC except my name is Brian McCullough. So BMC British Automobile. Right now we have 36 classic cars, anywhere from I think 1932 MG up to about a 1980 MG. And of course, like any good shop that has about 40 cars, 10 of them are MGBs, 10 more are MGs, and everything else is Boston Lee, Triumph, Jaguar, and so on. We are the manufacturers of classic auto LEDs, and we also do V6 driveline conversions to MGBs. As much as I love the MGB original engine, that's what we do.
Before I go on to somebody else, I'm gonna hit mute all because we got some background noise, so I get to use it already. So next one up, we'll try Skip again in Arkansas. Skip, are you there? But Skip, can you unmute yourself and talk to us by pressing the space bar or finding a way to do it? Well, while we wait, we're gonna go down to Tony and talk to Tony in Ohio.
Hi, Tony Burgess, North American MG Council, North American MGB Register, and the Morris Minor Registry. I know Rick's on the line, so I'll let Rick, I assume Rick's can give a little bit more background on the council. But we just finished the event in Atlantic City and won't start planning the 2026 event yet for another year or so. But the B Register is very active, as is the Morris Minor Registry. So nothing else for me unless there's any questions.
We'll move from Tony up to Skip if Skip's figured out how to unmute himself yet. But in the meantime, we're going to go to Bruce Mann.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Bruce Mann, NAMCAR, Advertising, Marketing, and Communications. Glad to be here. Just working on my 58. Big job. Fourth one. Last one. No more.
Wonderful. What's the count so far for the NAMCAR event? 47 out in Colorado Springs. Do you know? You're on the inside loop?
Well, I knew at one time we were at about 85.
Okay.
Registered, so double that, 165, 170 in that zone.
Yeah, great. Rick.
Can we hear you? Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, I'm Rick Ingram. I currently serve as treasurer for the council. I'm also sole proprietor of Pieces of 8 struts for your MG, which is the gas charged struts. I also do seat upholstery for Fiero, Miata, and MGB. I've been a member of the council of the BMTA since its origin back at John's shop in Ada. It was Ada, wasn't it, John?
It was that.
Yeah. And it's a fantastic organization for networking and things along that line. As Tony said, the MG Council ran a successful meet in Atlantic City this past June. And even though we budgeted for 1,000 cars and only got 319 or 320 because of our dear friend, Mr. COVID, we still ended up in the black for that event, which I think is fantastic. I think everybody had a pretty darn good time. There's a lot of talking about it still going on. And like Tony said, we don't know where we're going to be in 2026, but hopefully we will not be inviting Mr. COVID and we will have a boatload of cars again. Thank you.
All right, next one on my screen who's up is Joe Curto. But you gotta unmute yourself first, somehow, some way. But we'll wait here for a minute. There we go, gotcha. Yes.
Now, here's the question. Can somebody get a message to Skip to unmute?
Well, we're trying. I think Skip can hear us.
Something? Put a little sign up, say Skip unmute.
Okay, sure, I'll do that.
Anyway, good to see you guys. It's been what, 2 long years? A lot of BS under the bridge. Sure missed the last BMTA thing that was supposed to be in Pennsylvania. Other than that, I'm busy as hell. Skip, I think Skip just saw that.
I think so.
Nothing much else to say. I mean, we're busy as hell. We're rebuilding carburetors, making parts, selling parts. I think between Brexit and COVID.
Can you hear me now?
You there, Skip?
I can't hear you. I'm getting no audio.
Oh, it sounds like you're underwater, Skip. The audio that we're getting from you is just dreadful. So
Anyway,
far.
move on to the next guy there, John. How many guys do you think are going to join this group?
You know, this is probably starting at 8. This is probably it. We may have somebody else weigh in from the West Coast, but we haven't had one of these in a long time. Bruce was on them before. Some of the same guys were on before, and I think we might have had 20 at the most with some that I'd had a year and a half ago, but then we took a break. I don't know why I took a break. I just did. I thought, well, it's time to get it going again. That's all.
Wait, move on.
Bruce Woodson.
Good evening, everybody. John, thanks for hosting this. I'm having some trouble with the audio feed here. I don't know if I'm getting through to you okay.
You are.
Sound good to me.
All right, thanks. Good to see everybody, if not in person. I am co-owner of Mercer and Woodson Automotive in Richmond, Virginia. We do a variety of cars from British, which way am I pointing? I feel like the scarecrow. British cars, there it is, British cars to American cars. And so I'm at home right now in the garage. This is my wife, Carol's Corvette. I still can't point the right way. And I haven't even been drinking yet. But anyway, I'm glad to catch up with everybody and interested to see what's going on in your shop and what kind of issues you're having. And it's probably some of the same stuff I'm having with getting parts. Look forward to hearing from you tonight. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm gonna hit mute all just because I gotta mute. There's some background noise there. And it's not because I don't like you. All right, Gary Kinsel, would you unmute?
I will.
What's that snowstorm? Are you close to that? Where that terrible pileup?
No, I'm not close to that part of Pennsylvania, but we've had snow the last couple of days and it's bitter cold. I have a fire in the fireplace this evening and gosh, I came back from Florida 2 weeks too soon, I think. 3 weeks too soon.
You're in Pittsburgh, right?
I am. I'm a little bit east of Pittsburgh. So just for the group, I'm the chairman of the British Sports Car Hall of Fame and the Coventry Foundation. John's nice enough to invite me to participate in these, and I appreciate it.
My microphone is functioning.
I spend part of my day today. I'm not a professional like most of you on the call. I'm an amateur, and I spend part of my day fighting a cooling system problem in a Jaguar E-Type today, which I haven't won yet, by the way. And we're blessed or pleased or honored to have 2 inductees to the Hall of Fame on this call tonight. I should point out to the group that both John Twist and Joe Curto are inductees into the Hall of Fame. And we're proud to have them, and they're wonderful guys, and that's it. Thanks for having me, John.
Hey, love to have you weigh in here when you can. Next guy on my list is Sean English.
I just unmute, can you hear me? Okay, okay. I don't own a shop or anything, although I have several British cars. John invited me to come to this meeting tonight, to see what's going on, as well as mention a little bit about our club that I'm
Sean, hey, Sean, hang on just a sec. I gotta hit mute all because Skip's, there you go. Go ahead, Sean, unmute yourself again. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm the chairman of the MGT club down in the Washington area, Chesapeake chapter, New England Register. And so I found this will probably be interesting. I've talked to a couple of people before, Joe Curto, one of them being John Twist. So I'm pretty much here to listen and to find out what's going on.
All right, Sean, great. Thank you. John Sacramento. There you go.
Unmute my audio. Can you hear me?
I can.
I don't have that robot voice going that Skip's dealing with.
Yeah. Right.
I'm John Sacramento. Some of you guys know me. I own Sport and Specialty. I guess Bruce and Rick and some, I do business with Joe, and I guess I'm one of the usual suspects based on where I show up. I ran into John yesterday at one of the usual suspect events, and told him I was a member of this group, and he goes, "Well, did you get my email?" And I said, "Well, I didn't." So he was quick to put me on a list this morning and made sure I was home and had dinner by 7 o'clock. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy that he showed me I did that discipline today. But anyway, I'm here. I don't know if you, I do a bunch of different cars, mostly British. We won some awards. We do Heelys and Jags, mostly Alphas, and we're getting into some 356s and 911s these days. So I'll do anything for money. Apparently, I don't have much pride, but we're having fun doing it. I have 251 Mercuries in the shop right now. I'm like, how the hell did these get here? But I don't care. They're fun cars, and my guys love working on stuff other than leaky Heelys. So I'm good with that. That's all I got.
Thank you. Now, Skip's texted me here twice. I believe that's your text. Is that correct, Skip? that he's having trouble with his audio. So just talk to us a little bit and see if your audio's okay. Skip, can you talk to us?
Could I make a suggestion and have Skip call in, because there's also call-in numbers, so he'll be on our video, and then he can also call in. Skip, can you look at the original thing that John sent out, because there's a bunch of telephone numbers you can actually call, so you'll be on the phone while you're watching us. Did you hear me, Skip?
So anyway, Skip's got, well, he's in Arkansas. I mean, help me out. So he's got all kinds of.
It looks like he may be frozen the way he's looking right now.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Nobody could look like that for too long. let me text him back here, and
Maybe the Razorbacks have cut his wire.
Phone in so you can, still participate. Okay, all right. Anyway, I put out on the email, hey, we sent that out. Carl sent me a mailing list from the BMTA that Alan had in MailChimp, who my daughter swears is it's a lot better than Constant Contact, but I use Constant Contact and I know how it works, and I'm too old to learn another mail system. So as difficult as Constant Contact is. So I took pushing 400 names that Carl sent me. I downloaded those and put them into, I'm going to hit mute all here again, just because there's some background from someplace. Anyway, I got that into my program and sent it out, and I got one spam report. And they don't tell you who the spam report is. I got 3 unsubscribes, and I got about 20 bounces. So anyway, that's that. So this note went out to maybe 354 people. Carl said the last time they collected dues, they got under 50 people, but my gut here is that we just need to get revved back up again. And we can make it a worthwhile, group of people that talk from time to time, maybe here on Zoom every month. I don't know. You tell me. Love to get together, good grief, once a year. Those are always real fun events. So anyway, that's just my initial invitation. It's like, hey, let's do this tonight. Let's have a good time. Let's do it again in a month, maybe, and then we can go from there. So Brian, you're the next on my view here. So why don't you unmute and I don't know, talk about, you got some parts that you had trouble with, or you got interesting comments to make about what's going on right now. I understand everybody's like phenomenally busy.
We're busy, but our busy is because we're very, very short staffed. We made it through what I would consider the end of COVID, which some people say we're not done with it yet. But sometime in late fall, we lost our both our techs, and today is the first time we've had techs. So I'm actually wearing a shirt that I can not get dirty, or not, I shouldn't get as much dirty because I've been trying to be out there. And my project manager and I have, who popped in earlier, have both been on the floor now for the last 5-6 months. So we're at this point trying to catch up. Minnesota, of course, May 1st is generally speaking sometime in April or by May 1st. People are picking up their cars, and we have about 50% of the cars that will not be ready. So short-staffed is what's been killing us. The parts have been fine. That's shop. I probably should get back to this later, John, but it would be nice to talk about updating the BMTA web page, and I'd like to help by volunteering for that. If you want, we can come back to that later on.
I'll jot that down and pass that information along. Absolutely.
Okay. There's some things I can do, and I'm more than happy to make phone calls and actually set up a Google spreadsheet that people can fill. I bet you I can probably get quite a number of people to fill that out, and
Sure.
In that as well, the Minnesota MG group just took on a new website that has a club update button, and oh my gosh, their membership has soared because people can go online, push a button, pay their dues, and it sends out newsletters and all kinds of other wonderful things. So there's many wonderful things that we could talk about with website as well.
It sounds great. Everyone here has got a website, and everybody needs help with it because most of us are real old dogs, and those are all a lot of new tricks. So anyway, thanks. Tony, you're next on my list. Talk about what's going on.
Well, as I mentioned at the top of the call, basically, as far as the council is concerned, and again, I won't spend too much time because I'm Rick will probably want to talk about it. But we just finished the Atlantic City event last year, and we're going to be looking at the 2026 event probably in about another year. So we usually don't do much for the first year afterwards. As far as the B Register is concerned, our national event this year is going to be in Peterborough, Ontario, which John and a lot of people know was our very first MGB Register event in 1992. So we're going back to the same location, same hotel, same car show site that we did in 92. And right now we've got about 250 cars registered for that. It looks like Canada is opening up. So the concerns that we've had over the last year of getting people across the border are diminishing as of the 1st of April. Canada is relaxing their requirements as of the 1st of April. So the host hotel is sold out. The secondary hotel has got a very limited number of rooms available. The banquet is sold out, but we do have an overflow room there. And there are tickets still available for that. The drives that we did in 92 are still there. So it's going to be kind of a reenactment of the 92 event, which is really going to be a lot of fun. Peterborough was such a great location, and I think everyone enjoyed themselves. And then next year, we're going to be going to Calgary, which is where we had originally planned for 2020, but that got canceled in May of 2020 because when COVID hit. We actually got back from the BMTA meeting in St. Petersburg, from St. Pete. And then like a couple of months later is when, or actually a month later is when COVID hit everybody and everything shut down. So that's when we pulled the plug on Calgary. So we actually were able to work with the hotel as far as rebooting it for 2023. So we're going to be in Calgary, and we're doing it right after the Stampede. So I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Calgary Stampede, but we're tying it into that, and the hotel is giving us very good rates for that. So this way, because usually when the Stampede takes place, the hotel rates in Calgary usually double or triple. So we're going to get a really decent rate for that to tie into the RMG 2023 show. And then as far as the Morris Minor Registry is concerned, things are moving along. We've got about 400 members nationally, well, internationally. Most of them are US, but we have some Canadian, we have some international members, and, just keeps the club happy. And we try and get regional events structured around the country, but with only 400 members and being spread across the country, it makes it hard to do a national event. So we try and do regional events for around that. So that's kind of my update, unless there's any questions.
What's the scoop with the mini meet in Dayton? You're involved with that.
Yeah, actually, every year we have a mini meet east and a mini meet west. And 2024 is when we're going to have the East Meets West event. Right now we're looking at locations. I forgot to even mention the mini club. So we're looking at the 2024 event. We haven't decided upon a location. The last couple of them, and that's held every 5 years. So the next one will be in 2024. And what we'll be doing, the last couple have been actually in Colorado, in and around the Denver area. So we're trying to get a little bit away from Denver for this time for 2024. But then every 4 years, East has an event, West has an event. So in this year, in Dayton is going to be Mini Meet East. And John is going to be doing his rolling tech session there for us. And that'll be July 1st through July 4th at the Holiday Inn Dayton. And it's just not too far from the Air Force Museum. I know a lot of you guys have been to the Air Force Museum, just a wonderful location there. So we're going to do events there, and we're going to the British Transportation Museum. It's also in Dayton. We're going to the Packard Museum, which is just down the street from that. So at this point, we opened up registration in January. And at this point, registrations are starting to come in. We've had about 1,300 hits on the website. And typically, like a lot of the shows, a lot of people wait until the last minute to register. But we're hoping for about 100, 125 cars, both classic minis and new minis as well. Most of them will be classic minis. So that's the plan for Dayton for July 1st through 4th. So
very, very cool.
Yep.
Very nice. Bruce Mann, you're next on my list on my view. So Tony, you can mute yourself again, and Bruce, you can tell us about whatever it is that you do and issues you got, everything. But you got to unmute yourself first. Keep trying. There you go.
I got it. I'm learning. From an AMGAR perspective, or
yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah.
Personal perspective.
NAMGAR.
Whatever. Some changes. Pardon me.
Let's go for NAMGAR first.
Okay. Recently, some changes in the board. Larry Pittman is finishing up his 4 years as vice chair and working through the GT out in Colorado Springs. And it's been announced that Dennis Urick is replacing him as vice chair. And I'm replacing Dennis Urick as communications manager on the board and doing double duty with advertising and marketing till we find somebody for that position. The other positions on the board are staying as they were. There's a few staff jobs that are open. Obviously, the advertising and marketing position is open, as well as the regalia chair. So the GT is going pretty well from what I understand at this point in time. There's a lot of events planned, and a few of them are already full up and not open any longer. The hotel is becoming full as well. I think last count we said we're about 85 total registers for thus far through the middle of March, and we may be even a little bit higher than that now, John. I'm not exactly sure what the number is at this point, but from an advertising marketing standpoint of view, we have about 33 supporters that advertise either on the web or in MGA magazine, and we're about 80% of the way through that for 2022. And we've only lost one thus far, and that was through a retirement and a decision not to distribute any longer. So we're still pretty active with all the advertisers that have been with us for a long time now. So from a personal standpoint, go ahead.
Circulation,
I'm sorry.
Bruce. What's the circulation? What's the population of Namgar?
It's around, maybe Bruce Woodson knows the number better than I do, but I think it's around 1,800, I believe.
Okay.
Does that sound right
That's correct. It varies,
to you?
bouncing up around 2,000.
Yeah. I know we just came out with a new one, and I haven't had a chance to review it yet. It just came out last week, and I think the number of subscriptions that are going out, mostly in the US, there's the UK, Norway, and Australia are probably the other major countries involved. But I think our distribution was right around 1970 in that area from a magazine standpoint of view. But we have a new webmaster as well that we contracted out, and has done a good job with the web, and it's pretty active right now. And so we feel good about that. We have some software changes we're making. And currently we're spending some money to get up to speed. So that's kind of it from a Namgar perspective, I would think, at this point.
Is that website that Namgar is doing, are you contracted through a private person who's a Namgar member, or do you just go out and find somebody out of the yellow pages? What are the yellow pages, Dad?
Kind of like you said, but it is a contract position. And affiliation with them at this point in time. Very responsive, does a good job. Really happy with him thus far. And for me, it's critical because we get a lot of advertising in the marketplace for parts and for automobiles, whether they be MGAs or MGBs or TC or TDs, we get them. And to have that ability and that speed from when somebody sends an ad, so we check and see if their membership is current thus far. And we just need to have that. So he does a real good job, and we get it out of that. So I'd say on a personal standpoint of view, I'm doing my 4th restoration. And like I said earlier, it's going to be my last one. I'm doing a 58 coupe that I bought in Dallas. Went down to Dallas, picked it up about a year ago now. And I've got a rolling chassis, and the chassis is now rotting. The rest of the peripheral stuff that we have to do to get it ready. Colors picked out. Interior is going to be a tough job for us because we do our own interiors except for the cut and sew on the rolling plates on the seat covers, but the rest of it we try to do. But it's fun, challenging, and putting a 1800 5-main in it and a 5-speed transmission and a 3.9 rear end. Not sure I needed that, but I did it anyway because I was available. So that's what we're looking at right now. So I do have an issue I'd like to talk about, though, if I could, really quickly, John. It's
Yeah,
okay.
that's why we're here. Go for it.
The engine is a GF, and it's here in the garage. I have to put the starter in for a pre-fit because it's a modified backplate to fit a low mount starter for the 1500 tunnel. There's a bump out on the bottom galley or a water galley, but it's an actual bump out, which I've never seen before. And I know there's a couple other 5-mains that are in the area that guys are having overhauled. Bad shelter for one, and a TD guy that we know in the area. They don't have them, and there's their GKs, but I'm going to have to grind it off because the interference fit is the side of the starter housing hits the bump on the bottom. It won't allow it to go in. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that before. I got nervous because I said, well, I grind this thing down. I don't want to end up with a hole in the block, and I'm sure I won't, but it's still an issue that I have to, I'm working on it, but I haven't taken a lot off yet. That's my point. So I don't know if anybody's experienced that or not, but it's interesting.
It's probably thick enough there to grind it a little bit, you know. I beg the question, why are you using a low mount starter rear plate, and what have you done about the rear seal? But all that's like technical stuff. Or call me or Bruce tomorrow.
Well, because it's a 5-speed and it had to be converted. It's a T9 5-speed, and it had to be, the back plate had to be converted to fit that series. So that's why.
We'll ponder that. So, Bruce, thanks very much. Rick Ingram, just saw Rick yesterday. I think that was yesterday. It's going pretty fast right now. Oh, but you got your mute going the wrong way, Rick. And Bruce,
There we go.
Bruce, you're still unmuted.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
John Sacramento, I'm sorry I didn't see you yesterday. I was there till about 11:15. I ran into a lot of good people that I know. Ran into John and a bunch of the Chicagoland people.
Yeah, I'm
we had a
sorry
good
too, Rick.
time.
I saw that you were there. You posted some stuff on media, and I was like, oh shit, I missed Rick yesterday. I didn't get there till like 11 myself, so it was
Well, your
fine.
timing was perfect then.
Yeah, it cleared out. I gotta tell you, the bell rang at noon, and you know, you didn't want to stand by the door. Everybody was getting
Yeah, that's one event. We're talking about the Chicagoland annual swap meet held at the Page County Fairgrounds in Wheaton, Illinois. It was well attended this year. A lot of vendors, although they did decrease the number of buildings that they used by one. So that put all the vendors together. It probably made it seem a little more crowded than it really was. But I think it was well received and both by vendors as well as the attendees. So this, if you're anywhere near the Chicagoland area in March, think about putting this one on your calendar. I think it would be worthwhile. And those of you who have vended here before, I think you'll agree with me. As Tony said, the council had a successful meet in Atlantic City. We'd been working on that event for probably 3.5 years. We're very pleased with the results that we got from it, all things considered. Council members usually take about a year off after one of these events just to regroup and get our mental capacities back up to par. And then we utilize the services of an event planner, Helms Briscoe, to help us look at different cities that we think may help work for these events. And we do rotate the event east, west, north, south, midwest. So since this was an East Coast event, we will be looking at an area most likely other than East Coast. But the hotel layouts are important to us considering the number of attendees that we have, the attractions. We try to find some place that is not too congested traffic wise. So if there's something for everybody there, because we encourage families to come to these events. We'll probably know more, I would say, in a 1.5 years as to where we're going to be. We get about a dozen or so suggestions from Sandy Graves of Helms Briscoe. We talk about it amongst the council. We narrow that down to 4 to 6. Then we take a look and we may make site visits to all of them or just a couple of them to actually have feet on the ground in there to see what these locales have to offer so that we can make an educated decision as to if we want to go to one city over another. And that's worked pretty well for us. You can please some of the people some of the time. You cannot please all the people all the time. But I think we've had some pretty successful events since the first one in 1996. As we are an aging group, and this is something that I think all clubs and registers have discussed, our attendees are getting up in age, which decreases their attendance to these events. So it's important that we bring in younger people, younger enthusiasts to replace us old farts, because we're just not going to hang around all that time. My business, Pieces of 8, had a banner year last year, and that's because I think people had more expendable income to put on parts and things along that line. I sold a boatload of strut kits. My seat business with the Fiero and the Mazda Miata reupholstery services was good. However, in the middle of the summer, I started losing strength in my hands and found it very difficult to use hog rank pliers, and that continued. In November, I went in for a physical for a hip replacement surgery that I was having in December, and I was diagnosed with AFib. So now I'm dealing with that. And right post-surgery in December, I got diagnosed with polymalacia rheumatica, which is a type of an autoimmune disease that hits joints, muscles, and I was miserable, couldn't do anything with my shoulders, my hands, my wrists, and to a certain extent my hips. But my rheumatologist, with the wonders of prednisone, is getting me back to normal there. And physical therapy has been doing wonders too. So any of you folks doing any surgical procedures, et cetera, that the doc wants you to do physical therapy, just do it.
Rick, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
RA
exactly.
15 years. It's not fun.
Yep. Like I've been telling people, getting old ain't for pussies.
How many, what's the population on those shows, Rick, over the past 20 years or so?
Our first show in 1996 had about 1,300 attendees.
Here, help me out.
I've got some echoing.
I'm muted. Oh, why? Is this on my end? Hit mute all again. It must be, what in the world is going on?
Sounds like music, John.
Not here. I'm the only one singing in my house there. Whatever. Okay. All right. it stopped for a minute. Anyway, Rick, you were on.
Okay, I am now unmuted. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, Indianapolis in 1996 had 1,300 registrants. 2001 in St. Paul, Minnesota, I think had 850 or so residents, and that went down, I think, because of the geographic location and people. You couldn't get there from here in some places, but everybody had a good time. 2005, 2006 was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We had 1,100 participants at that meet. 2011 was in Reno, Nevada, because we wanted to do one on the West Coast. Tony, I think we had 650 ballpark.
Yeah, it was 650 to 675. Yeah.
Okay. After that, we went to Louisville, Kentucky. We had about 850 at that one. That's the one event that I've been a little disappointed in. We thought that Louisville, being in a central location in the States, would be a little bit bigger draw, plus the draw that the Kentucky Derby had and the Bourbon Trail, things along that line. But it didn't quite work out as planned, but we still had a good event. And then, of course, 2021 in Atlantic City, I think we would have hit our goal of 1,000 had COVID not hit, but we had 300 with that. As we progress in the future, we're going to have to really take a look at our budgeting and see if we need to be honest with ourselves as to how many of our members will actually drive their cars or bring their cars to one of these events. And we do encourage folks who don't want to make the trip in their car or trailer their car, that they can, of course, fly in or drive their everyday daily driver to attend, because these events are about the people more than the cars, although the cars are nice icing. Does that hit what you were looking for, John?
Yeah, sure. Sounds like it. But now everybody wants to hear from Joe Curto, because everyone wants to know how many carburetors you do a day, a week, a month, a year, because you're so backed up. I just talked to a guy who said, oh, Joe couldn't get them done, and sent me to, I don't know, Brian, somebody in Oklahoma. So Joe, you can unmute yourself and come on in and. Waiting for it, waiting for it. Joe will get there, waiting for it. Press down the space bar, find the chat section there. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We probably have 100 pair of carburetors in the shop at this point. And they're down to one guy. I've got one rebuilder. We lost one guy. He moved to California. And then I'm struggling to get back to rebuilding, but you know, by the time 4 o'clock rolls around, I've just about gotten my day clear to do a little something on carburetors. I think with most of the guys are saying the same thing, how busy they are. I think it's because dad didn't have to take their kids to Disneyland and mom to the Bahamas, you know, and so they've got some surplus money to spend on their cars. I would have never thought that this business in general would be as busy as what it is. I talked to a lot of guys, a lot of shops, and they're, you know, the cars are out in the parking lot. You know, I mean, they're just overstuffed with work. But you know, we just keep doing. I'm making more stuff. We're selling more stuff to some of the major wholesalers, and I think part of that is Brexit, and the other part I think is COVID. You know, they can't get stuff out of the UK the way they were. You know, you had England was on what, four lockdowns in the last year or something, or 2 years. So I mean, we were even having trouble getting the people that cut my gaskets. They can't get paper, you know, or vegetable fiber paper to to make gaskets because of some key ingredient that's you know, in short supply internationally. So it's kind of, you know, it's like, you know, with the car manufacturers can't sell cars because they can't get some computer chip, you know. So, but other than that, we're I kind of dread when the UPS guy walks in the door, and I'm very happy when he doesn't have anything to leave us, you know. You know,
Oh,
if
business should be so good. Yeah.
well, you know, if he's bringing, I'm even happy when he brings stuff in that I've got to pay for. You know, it says, oh, thank God it's not another set of carburetors, you know. But we're doing, you know, we're trying to keep the level of workmanship up. Try to educate. We've got some YouTube videos, you know, not like yours, John, but you know, trying to explain some of these guys, you know, why they shouldn't take sandpaper to the inside of their carburetor domes.
Where are those videos, Joe? How do I find those? Joe Curto, just
I
look.
think they're just linked off of my website.
Okay.
.com, and there's maybe a half a dozen
Okay.
videos there. You know, it's kind of funny because, you know, as we all know, we're dealing with a clientele that maybe shouldn't be doing what they're doing, you know. I mean, they've got more enthusiasm than they've got ability. You know, I mean, there are some guys that should only be allowed to put a key in the ignition and drive the car and not, you know, not do what some of them are trying to do.
That's Glenn's line, isn't it, from Glenn's MG service, sir? Sir, put the tools on the floor and step away from the vehicle.
That's, well, we get, you know, I just had some guy send in an HD8 piston and dome from a BJ8 Healy that he'd had the carburetors rebuilt locally, and the one dome must have been egg-shaped, and the rebuilder like ignored it, and then the customer tried to get the thing apart, and looks like he went in with 80 grit sandpaper inside the dome, not to mention, you know, pistons and everything. It's like, you know, you got junk here, you know. This is paperwork. So you know, and then you get guys to get the short end, you know, with different shops, like, you know, guys that say they can do something and they can't do it, you know. But we keep plodding ahead, I guess.
How many other shops are there around the country that rebuild carburetors that you supply? I know you supply some of them because I talked to them.
Yeah, there's probably a dozen guys.
Okay.
That are doing it, and then we're also getting more. You know, I've made piloted cutters and reamers and that sort of stuff, and so kind of every time we sell a toolkit, that's another guy you're going to be, you know, that you're going to be supplying, you know.
Sure.
So the downside is that somewhere in the reamer business, you know, these guys woke up and, you know, think that they're selling gold, you know. I mean, I got reamers for doing like the pilot, you know, for finished size. I mean, they're like $150 a piece, and you got to buy 50 pieces, you know, to get that price. So it's you know, it becomes kind of a burden to have, you know, $8,000-9,000 sitting on the shelf that's going to take you 3 years or 4 years to get paid back, you know. So I mean, you know, you do it, but it's not, I mean, machine tools have gone crazy, cutters and reamers and that sort of stuff. And I don't know why, but,
There aren't enough people working that know what's going on.
that's probably part of the problem. A lot of the reamer companies got bought out or went. I mean, I had heard last year a company that made my little saw blades for putting the slots in the throttle shafts, where in their heyday they had 30 employees and then they were down to like 3 and they closed, so there's I guess it's overseas type,
What's the scoop? What's the scoop with Peter at Neisinger? I know they had that terrible flood, and I know they're not.
I hate to say it, but I didn't want to call him because I didn't want to. I'm sure he must have, he had 6 feet of water in his shop.
I know what he's doing. He's selling his parts off, but he's not doing any work. He's not refurbishing any instruments right now.
Well,
So I was just going to say, Weber Carbs has got the same problem. You're sending them out. They're having the same problem out in California with Mike Pierce. He's behind. Everybody's up to their necks and those kind of things. We've been struggling since Neisanger's been out. We were sending stuff out to Palo Alto, out on the West Coast, and they're really expensive. The Alpha stuff is crazy right now.
How about Philip Morris out there?
What's that?
West Valley Instruments?
Yeah, well, they bought a lot of Peter's stuff. That's where everything's kind of going from Neisanger.
Was there stuff for Peters that was salvageable?
Yeah, I guess there was. It wasn't. I think his inventory was high or something, but his materials, his machine stuff was low. Yeah, he's basically out of business. I don't, if he's got parts, he'll sell them to you. But I don't think he's going out of his way to continue his business in an aggressive fashion. And that's a shame. I just unmuted, excuse me, to discuss that, because that was another one that some of us are going through, some troubles with, where you used to just box the stuff up and send it out to him, or send, stuff out to you, Joe, and what we did was we bought some, if I just have like a stock rebuild and the carbs are good, I used to just wrap them up and send them off to you and get them back. We're kind of doing some of that in house, which isn't always the right thing to do, but hey, I gotta turn cars. So
I believe me, I am more interested in helping guys rebuild a set of carburetors.
Sure.
Actually do the set. And it's funny because the group, I mean, where in the 70s, it was common knowledge how to put a diaphragm into a TR6 carburetor.
Sure.
It's not so common news anymore.
No.
I mean, if I had a nickel for every guy I had to explain about the little keyway and all that bullshit, so we're, I don't mind talking a guy through a rebuild. I mean, as a matter of fact, I understand it. I mean, who wants to have a car sit in somebody's shop for 4 months, while
you just can't. I mean, but just like BJ8 and Jag diaphragms, just all that's, you get the car, they're all junk now, but you got to know how to replace them, and not everybody knows how to be delicate enough to put them back in, or recognize that they're shit. I mean, you got to look at them and go, hey, well, it's the diaphragm. It's never gonna seal. You got no vacuum. Oh.
So we have that. I don't mind, and I don't mind telling guys how to do stuff, because
I've noticed, Joe.
If it dies with me, it's dead. But then we did a half a dozen YouTube videos trying to explain some of the stuff. I mean, I think part of the problem too is that clientele, meaning that your customer, retail and wholesale, we've gotten to a point where people don't realize just how lucky we were that we got by with the stuff 40, 35 and 40 years ago.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know, I mean, you know, I get guys and they want to know why their idle changes when they're stuck in traffic on a, you know, on the highway somewhere. It's like, it's not fuel injection. It's not, you know, it's a goddamn carburetor, you know.
It's the way it always was. It's just the new cars that are different.
Yeah, right.
But everybody expects their BJ8 Healy to idle like the 2022, you know, Lexus, you know. And so,
Let's move on. I want to get down to Bruce here. So, Bruce Woodson, tell us how busy you are, how backed up you are for carburetors and and speedos.
Oh, I haven't done any work in months now. Don't worry about me. Yeah, we're staying very busy at our shop, having good luck, good success, and I've been fortunate to have good employees that stuck with us through COVID, and a younger gentleman who's been to several of our trade meetings, Jim Weschler. He's really become my star technician now, so he's doing great. So we right in the shop now. I guess I'm finishing up a real pain. It's a 74 MGB GT that the customer had stuck a 64 Buick 300 engine in it, and we had to do a rebuild on that because he drove it. It's a friend of mine, Dave McCann. Maybe some of y'all know him from these MG meets, but. So anyway, he was driving in from Ohio, and I got off the highway and realized he didn't have any oil pressure, and drove it another 2 miles to get to the gas station. By the end, the engine was dead. So we're doing a rebuild on that. And he wanted to convert it over to fuel injection we were just speaking about. And many of you may be familiar with the Holley Sniper fuel injection, and that's what we put on it. That seems to be working pretty good. And we're kind of finishing that project up right now. We also put fuel injection on a 56 Thunderbird just last week. That one's having a harder time learning the curve, and when you come to a stop, it just wants to die. It's not catching it. But they are pretty good, and they do use an oxygen sensor that you install and everything. So I'm impressed with the fuel injection, and I want to work more with that to see how usable it is, mostly for the American cars. We've also got an MGTC coming in tomorrow for brake hydraulics. And this customer we've been discussing for a while, adding a remote reservoir up in the toolbox area or battery box. So we're going to be doing that, you know, that feeds down to the master cylinder. So you don't have to climb down and pull all the mats and everything just to check the brake fluid every time. We've done that on an MGTD, and that really was nice. So we're going to try to see how that goes with the TC. Let's see, upcoming. Many of you are familiar with the 100,000th MGA. That's been at Moss Motors showroom and on their East Coast, Petersburg, Virginia facility. And its owner, Fred Scomp, who had restored it years ago, had passed away. His wife, Cindy Scomp, had retained ownership of it. And now she's passed it on to her son, Curtis Scomp, also of Key West. So Curtis has been in touch, and he's interested in getting the car out and having it at more events and functions. So if you have maybe a place where you would like to have that 100,000th MG at a show, reach out to Curtis Scomp or through me, and I think he would like to participate with it. So I'll be getting that out next week and recommissioning it. It's probably been about 5 years since it fired a shot, so it'd be nice to get that up and running again. Our shop did do a labor increase. Won't go into specifics as everybody has different parameters, but I encourage you to check your labor rates. The whole world is going up, and I hate for you. If you're thinking of a labor increase, now's kind of the time to slip it in. Nobody will even notice, I don't think. We've done that and probably a couple of months now, and haven't had any question marks at all. So, keep that in mind. Under the parts supply.
Bruce, we didn't hear any of that.
Well, I heard some of it, but he just raised the labor rate.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry, my audio's bad. I'll just finish up and I'll enjoy everybody else's stories.
No, I actually was interested in what that comment was because I just did raises, and then you, the most important thing you said, I lost. Come on. No, you said something after you raised we should look at labor rates. And I was just curious what your follow-up was because I haven't lost anybody and I'm alone in that, but I also have a fairly high labor rate and keep them pretty high because my overhead's somewhat low. So,
We
I don't, what's that?
we all charge a little bit different. So my labor rate could be $1 million and yours could be $1 and you might make more than mine, but
No, I'm sorry. My payroll rate.
Oh, gotcha.
Payroll
Okay.
rate, labor rate. Yeah.
I would be interested in hearing from other shops and as well discussing my labor rates. But again, labor rates mean nothing unless you know how the shop bills. And I'll tell you all right now, April 1st every year is when we move our rates up because we're in the north, so it's cold, and we want to tell people that it's better to bring it in winter than it is in summer because number one, we're going to be busier and we aren't going to get you through, and number two, this helps encourage people to come in, even if it's just a little bit per hour. But a lot of times there's cars that are 50, 100 hours, and some are in here for 3. And we just started body 1 year ago, year and 3 months ago. So that labor rate, the general labor rate around here for crash shops is $70 an hour. We're at 90. For our general repair, we are at 157.23. Ask me some of the time why, but we are going up exactly 5% on April 1st. And for every hour, I'm sure I'm scaring some of you. I promise you, I still drive a very, very inexpensive car. I'm not making $1 million here. But we charge 5% shop supplies on every hour. And on top of that, we charge Minnesota sales tax on those shop supplies. So we're effectively, April 1st will be effectively about $170 per hour. And we have no problem getting business. And we're in the middle of farmland, Minnesota.
What's your rate, Bruce?
I think we just raised it to 129, which is again, kind of the going rate in Virginia for general repair. For specialty, we probably could get more, but we're staying with that.
I'm just asking. Oh, I'm not suggesting that anyone change anything because that's collusion.
Yeah. And my point was just that everybody's going up. Don't let yourself get caught behind.
Yep. I like that idea about going up on the 1st of April. That's a cool idea. John,
from year one, been a fantastic deal.
What's your rate, John? Do you have
we've got
rate for drive-in stuff?
$98 for restoration. I mean, if I've got a $150,000 job coming up or $100,000 job, it's nice to have it locked in. So I run at 98. I mean, I'm in Northern Illinois. We're not in the city particular. And it seems to be okay. I mean, I can manage that, and it's an easier way to do it. We don't do as much repair work. Our repair rate's 115 right now, and I'll probably bring that up to probably 120 to 125. I don't want repair work. I'd rather just have restoration work because I sent the guys in and I send it to work in the morning and go, hey, you guys know what you got to do, go to work. But what I have found is that my payroll rates are higher than a lot of the guys, in my business around the Chicagoland area. Now, I'm not in the city particular, but, I've got 6 guys and I haven't lost any. I mean, I've lost 2 guys in the last 10 years and they came back within 2 months and said, can I come back here? Because this is really a good place to work. So, I think I don't want to say that's the one reason, but it's tough, Brian, where you're at, not where you're at particularly geographically, but man, trying to find new guys that know anything that don't cost you, they'll cost you their labor rate in warranty work because everything's going to be screwed up. So that's a big piece. And I think that's one of the biggest factors we're going to face, as a little industry, is trying to find people that know what the hell they're doing. And you can't find those people for $22 an hour,
Right.
I'm well into the 30s on 2 or 3 guys that I rely on heavily, and good, bad, or indifferent. You can't, the $35,000 a year employees sweep the floors and shit now. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's just
Yeah,
how that works.
And so when I mention my labor rates, I know that these labor rates scare people. They scare other shop owners. We don't end up charging any more than anyone else does. But we charge a certain way. We estimate we don't necessarily give the customer what we estimate to the shop floor. But when the customer gets the final invoice, I should say the invoices per week, they feel that it's very fair. I have maybe one person every other year fight me, and that was the kind of customer that I should have fired. I just spoke to a customer that I should have fired. And they're out there. McDonald's has them. We have them. Everybody has them. I would love to talk to you shop owners at some point about what you're doing for training and keeping things up. I can't pull guys from modern shops anymore and say, hey, come in here and do this. I might as well go back in time to 1880, 1885 and pull guys out of the steam train era that actually knew what they were doing on steam trains, because I have as much to train forward to them as I do back to the guys that are working on computer and distributed ignition systems and so on. It's a very, very challenging business to be in.
I've got a guy right now he's a kid. He's 21, 22. I just raised him up to $20. I like to put him at 22, but he's worked for me since he was 16 years old. And you've got to get the whole shop behind a guy like that, a kid like that, because you can train him. You can do it, but you can't beat the crap out of him. You can't, and he's going to make mistakes, and you got to let him make mistakes, and you can't, there's a whole way to do that. Friday, I'm speaking at a local high school that has a shop class. Holy cow, a shop class where they build engines and stuff. I'm going to go there and show them, what we do. It's cool stuff, but you have to be so proactive to get things going in that direction. And I got to tell you, one of my guys left for, like 2.5 months last year. I got to tell you, Brian, when you said you were, on the floor, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, we all have problems. Okay. That's how I look at it. And, it's not that you want someone smarter than you out there. You really do, so you can go do what you do well. And
I'm not going to tell you about my project manager. I'm not going to. Good guys.
Well, you know what I mean? I mean, it's when you're doing that stuff, you're standing there going, oh man, I can tune jag carbs, but it takes me longer than the guy I had in there, and he came back and I was like, thank goodness. It took us 2 months to catch up. So, I understand, but I think we used to be able to find guys who were like cast offs or retired from other shops. Those guys finally went to Florida. They finally said, I'm out of here. I'm going, I'm not coming back. I can't lift that crap anymore. And we bring them back for 15 hours and we stick them with 25 or 30 right away. And we've got to come up with a better solution, Brian. And I agree.
Let's schedule another meeting sometime, because we're going to get through everybody else here. And we're getting into some real meat here, and that's great. But let's go through everybody else first here, and then we can return to shop stuff, because that's where I'm a shop guy. I've been involved with the clubs and stuff, but I'm a shop guy. I don't supply parts. I work. I love. It's where my love is. But we got all these other people here. So Gary Kinsel, tell us about yourself. Tell us about what you're doing and the organization you got, and especially the Coventry Foundation, the Sports Car Hall of Fame. That's platitudes, but the Coventry Foundation, you're actually doing something which is I don't know much about all the other. I don't know anything about American clubs, but in our world, what you've done with that Coventry Foundation is really spectacular.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, John. In a nutshell, it's our 10th anniversary. We started at zero with the idea to support the enthusiast community with knowledge, with information, with loans of tools, and have a repository where people can go when they're I've heard several people talk about customers that are getting older and they're not sure what to do with their stuff. And we wanted to give them a place that they could go to with that stuff. Not sure what would happen, but here we are 10 years later and we've exploded. We have 3 locations now. We have a complete set of factory Jaguar tools that covers the cars from the 30s up through the 90s that they're available for loan. Every factory tool that's, if you read the manual and it says you need this tool to pull this hub or put in this seal, we have it, we'll loan it to you. We have all the technical data, including draftsman's drawings from the cars that we provide to people. All no charge as long as you're a patron of the foundation or a JCNA, Jaguar Club of North America member. We just gave away our 5th scholarship to a student at the Pennsylvania College of Technology, which I heard a lot of fellows talking about getting help. That school is fabulous as far as teaching. And I know that's only the tip of the iceberg for the real shops like you guys have, but it is the tip of the iceberg. And some of these kids are pretty passionate. We just gave our 5th scholarship away. We have about 14 cars in our collection now. Eventually, we're going to have a museum where we can put everything. I heard somebody talk about Petersburg. We actually have a good sized display in Petersburg inside the Moss building. All the Jaguar stuff there, plus the British Sports Car Hall of Fame, and that whole room next to where that MG is that you're taking out of there, Bruce, that's us. Everything in that second room is us. And so that's just kind of a thumbnail of what we do at the foundation. We have a website, coventryfoundation.org. We have a Facebook group there as well. Back in 2019, we took over the British Sports Car Hall of Fame. And that's been real interesting from the get-go. It was started, it was a great idea. There were some, tremendous people in this country that weren't getting any recognition for what they did for the hobby, for the sports, for the British car community. And it had started to go sideways. We took it over. I went after a bunch of board members to give it some substance. John Twist is one of the board members over there, by the way. There's numerous others that I'm sure you would recognize the names. Robert Goldman, chairman of Moss, is on the board, past chairman of Moss. Inductees, we've got 3 or 4 classes of inductees now, and they're an elite group of people, very elite group. Talk about John being an inductee and Joe Curto being an inductee, among many others, icons, Sir William Lyons and many people in the MG community. We're at events. We have a couple events coming up shortly. May 28th, we have a big event at our library and research center down in Columbia, South Carolina. We're accepting a really cool donation of a Mark II Jaguar. And so we're looking forward to that. We're going to be involved at the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix with the Castor Cup event in July. And if any of you have never been to the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, it should be on everybody's bucket list. It is a 2-weekend long festival of cars. Lots and lots and lots and lots of British stuff there, among every other possible mark you could imagine. Some good racing, vintage racing, both on a closed circuit course and on the city course in the city park. So we're going to be involved in that event, and we just keep growing and moving forward. And honestly, we're always looking for volunteers. Brian, I heard you talking about some stuff you're able to do, and we're generally an older group of folks, and we need the young enthusiasts. We need the next generation. We need people who are going to come in and take over these things. We think we've gotten the ball rolling reasonably well. We have also accumulated, and this is something brand new, we have in all of our tool stuff, we have accumulated a bunch of other British mark tools, Triumph and MG and Austin Healey, and some of the the specialty tools. And I know most of you have probably made those by now, that you couldn't get the tool, didn't have the tool, so you made your own, figured out how to do it some other way. Well, we've accumulated a pretty good selection of those, and tried to offer them up to a few other groups that think they might want to do a loan program without a lot of success. So we just decided we're going to do it ourselves. And we're going to clean those up and get them ready and make them available. And hopefully some of you guys might have a need for that someday and in your shop, and we'll be the source. So that's a really quick nutshell. I don't want to talk too much, but we've accomplished a lot, and we like to provide the services that we offer. Our goal is to provide them at no charge. You need a tool, no charge, pay the shipping. You need information, we got it, we'll give it to you. We just recently worked on a project, talk about YouTube, Joe. We had a whole bunch of old factory Jaguar video where they had an audio and a video combination that you put the video in the machine and the audio kind of talked along next to it. We're remastering all those and putting them up on YouTube. There's about a dozen up right now, and they are actual Jaguar factory technical tapes. So how to do the suspension in an XJ6 or, various other components, part repairs. And they're on the link to them currently is on the JCNA website under the YouTube or under the video tab on YouTube. And there's, some of you, the technical guys in this group, I think will really find those interesting. There's about a dozen up now. There's a total, we have about 60. And one by one, they're getting remastered and put up on the web. So and we're also working on another project with a fellow in the UK to digitize technical bulletins from the factory and put them in a database where you could go into the database. If you're working on a part on an XJ6 in 1976 and you need a technical bulletin, we want you to be able to go there and get it quickly and easily to help answer the question or solve the problem. So it's one of many, many, many things we're working on. Thanks for taking the time and taking and listening patiently to that dissertation. And thanks for having me, John.
Gary, before you go, what you guys are doing is either an incredible amount of volunteer hours, or you've got a handsome financial support. How many members? You got members of the Coventry Foundation? How does that work?
We have members, we have volunteers. There's zero payroll, zero. In fact, most of the volunteers do that. Whatever they do it on their own dime.
Okay.
So we're blessed with some really, really, really good, enthusiastic volunteers. We need more. I mean, we absolutely need more. And because we continue to grow and there's always new things coming up. And in some of the modern stuff, I mean, we could grow bigger if we had electronic media people, if we had people that understood the current technology. But, and that's a younger, sort of a person. The Hall of Fame, I think it's a huge growth opportunity. I think we've got it squared away. We got it on the right foot, thanks to people like you, John. And we're moving forward, but we could move quicker. And yes, we take donations. I mean, that's what it is. We take donations. Some people donate $50 and some people donate, a little more. We got a Friday, we got a $2,000 check from a dealer up in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. And so it's all supported by donations, really. We take donations on the website, the foundation website, and it all does cost. Sadly, when you get bigger and then you start having insurance, you got to pay for cars, and then you got expenses that you didn't think you were going to have. Now all of a sudden you do have them. Two of the three places we have are donated spaces, and the third one we pay rent. It's not a big rent, but we pay rent. So thanks, John. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah, Gary, thank you very, very much. Sean, you're an independent guy, but you're involved with your local club. Give us a perspective of the business from your club members, what you hear. But you got to unmute yourself first, Sean.
Yeah, is that me?
No, I'm going for Sean English. There we go.
I heard
Okay.
Sean. I didn't hear you. Sorry.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Just give you a little bit of background on the club. It covers the greater Washington DC area, Maryland and Northern Virginia. And there's probably about 65 members. Primarily dealing with TCs, TDs, and TFs. There's a few other cars, but most of them are those three models. And it's been, I'd say, probably about 45 years old. So it's been around a lot. And one of the things that we have that is, I can identify with what you guys have been talking about is the aging of the club. Many of the officers of the club average age is probably about 70 years old. I'm 75. We have guys 82, guy 68, another guy 75. So it is trying to bring up the younger crowd to join a club is sort of the challenge. The same thing, getting people to work in these cars is the challenge, getting younger people to do it. Years ago, just a sidebar, I was in a jewelry business, and that was the same thing was happening back then. Nobody wanted to do jewelry repair. No one had a set of stones. I don't know what they're doing now. Nobody wanted to hand engrave. All the things have fallen by the wayside, and I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, there's some trade mentality going on in our younger people, which I don't think is happening. Maybe it is now, maybe in the past few years. It's sort of a dying. The dying of the interest is scary. But back to the club, we have a few events every year. This year we've skipped the mini golf, and at the beginning of the year we have an eat out, which is sort of in the springtime, late winter and early spring, because of COVID, getting in at restaurants and all that. But on June 5th, we're going to have Original British Car Day, which is the 44th year we've had it. We've only missed 1 year, which was the year before last, because the state of Maryland didn't allow more than 100 people getting in, together, inside or outside. But last year we had it, and it was one of the best turnouts we had in years. So I don't know if it was cabin fever, people want to get the heck out of the house and go there. We had 250, 300 entrants in the show, and there's probably 1,000 spectators coming and going during a period of time. And every year we feature a different British car. Last year we had the Sunbeam Tiger, and this year we're having the MGs from 62 to 74, the chrome bumpers. It's a featured mark, and so this brings a little bit of excitement to it. Sometimes it's a bust. Sometimes there's a great turnout for those kind of cars, and sometimes it's not. It's like it's a lot to do with the weather. Like people at the last minute decide not to go or to go. But last year we had a pre-registration, was exceeded past pre-registrations, and then we had the registration at the door, and it's about $10 more to go to register at the gate, but doesn't turn anybody off. But that is a signature event, and that keeps the coffers going for other things like mini golf. In the fall we have a fall ramble, and there's probably a dozen cars that same people go, the 80-20 rule. they go to the shows for the fall ramble and the mini golf. And about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, we started going down to Florida, and there was two people, myself and another guy. We took the auto train down, which is it's about 10 miles from my house. They put the cars on there, and we go down and spend a week, 2 weeks in Florida. And this year we did not have it because there was a lot of apprehension about going. But we had, I think, eight cars signed up. So from 2 to 8 over the period of time. We like to have somebody that knows a little bit of technology and a lot of somebody else knows a little bit about eating and making reservations for restaurants and all. But it's a fun thing. It really is. And I really wish more people would go. But again, the age group, I mean, when you're, it doesn't bother me. I'll drive a couple hundred miles on the MGT. It doesn't bother, but some people, if it's over 10 miles, they don't want to go. You know, they 10 to 15 miles, they don't want to go anything. They're going to bring a modern car, which I don't mind, but that's something you're up against. And I think that's any kind of show that we have that, you know, in this area. But the club we're starting to attract a few younger people, and I don't know what the key is. I really don't. How do you attract them? You got to make an effort. That's really what it amounts to. You got to sell the idea of this is a fun thing to do, and you know, some people they buy it, and some people don't. You know, so right now, you know, people coming in my neighborhood stop by my house. Can you talk to my son about his car? He's going to college next year. He doesn't know how to change a tire. Well, look, you know, doesn't what I do isn't tire changing. You know, it's a wire wheel is not something that this guy even knows about. But there's a desire there for people to learn, and you have to catch them. As far as I'm concerned, you have to catch them when they're younger, high school age, or in this. You mentioned Gary mentioned I think a Pennsylvania Technical School. There are people that are really involved with that kind of really involved that kind of thing, and you can't do it remotely. You have to be there. You have to, but you know, you go into a track auto or a car place and you ask them for a thermostat for a Volkswagen, they look it up on a computer. That's all they know. Well, we don't have them, you know, no kidding. So anyhow, that's pretty much it I have to say.
Okay, Sean, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
John, you're on. Just so if you got to unmute yourself, and then you can figure that out. There you go. Then, you know, I don't know. Tell us, you know, how many people you already said how many people you had work and how many cars you go through a year. You go to events.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy like in the off season. I start in Arizona. I go to the auctions in Arizona. I hit Amelia Island. I race too. I vintage race an Alfa Romeo, and I've got a BMW 2002. I raced the Bug-Eye Sprite for a long time. So I kind of have the racing season during the summer from April to October. We're in the shop the rest of the time. I belong to a bunch of clubs and do a lot of different stuff. Mostly our job, my job is to keep the shop full of cars and make sure we got plenty of cash to fix them and buy parts and keep people busy. That's kind of what I do. I mean, I'm hitting 60. I'm 65. I turned 65 last year. I've owned the shop for 10 years. The shop's been in business. Sport and Specialty's been in business since the early 90s. But we're about 3 times bigger over the last 10 years. We're kind of maxed out. I don't have any more space, and I don't really want to, expand any more than I am. I took Brian's. I was just sitting there thinking I haven't raised rates since. Well, it's been about 68 months, and I'm thinking, Brian, you're right. Thanks for that, that little vote of confidence today. But you're right. as far as that goes, I haven't quoted anybody a shop rate on a restoration in a long time. They go, okay, I just got to get my car in there. And so we've raised rates a little bit. I don't want to be a pig, but on the other hand, I just gave raises this week. Generally speaking, everybody's fairly well paid, I think, except me. Everybody makes money but me. I don't understand it. But I'm kind of enjoying myself. But owning a shop is a different kind of business these days. And I've talked to some guys. I think the biggest challenge we're going to have as shop owners, and I've talked to some people in let's call it in the financing and the money market end of the business, is trying to get like the guys like me, or all these shop owners, like whoever those of us out here. Brian, you got a little ways to go, but when everybody's, I just keep hearing stories about guys in their 70s are trying to get out of their shop. John, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's no way to like take cash out gracefully. It's like, wow, don't you want to give me $250,000? Nobody's got $250,000. So you got to go to the bank, and they go to the bank, and the bank says, what's your collateral? And I'm like a 38-year-old kid. I've got kids people and employees that would probably be able to handle the business, but where are they going to get the money? And so I've been talking to some people like on the restoration side of the business, some of the guys that come through like the McPherson side. There's a lot of guys out there. There's Haggerty guys. There's people that are trying to protect the heritage of our industry, not just in MGs or British cars, but in general, like the restoration business and repair business. And I think to make this continue to work, it's just gonna start going away like the instrument and carburetor guys. Unless you find some people that are able to buy into that business, because it's just too expensive to start from scratch now. Guys, there's only a couple guys I know. Adam Hammer up in northern Michigan. He's a good kid. But he and his wife both came from McPherson. He works his ass off to do that. Ed Sweeney out of Pennsylvania. Eddie's. I'm sorry.
I interrupted you. They're the guys down the road from Haggerty.
Yeah.
Traverse City.
Yep. And I talked to those guys, and I've got a business background. I've only been doing this 10 years. So, I help talk them through, some of this stuff during COVID, and I've known Ed for a while. We're kind of buddies. And I think one of the big things is you guys want me to get off?
No, I think Skip maybe.
Oh, okay.
Checking out. Yeah.
I thought I was getting the hook. I didn't know.
Not yet.
Okay. But no, I just think that's going to be a big thing, is how do we keep these shops alive? I mean, you couldn't buy all the tools I have, for what I've got in it. I mean, I've got, I'm a full service shop. We do body work. We don't do paint, but we do all the body work. We do all our own fabrication. We have all our mechanicals. I'm buying lifts, and I'm doing this, and there's a lot of money involved. And the minute I spend it, it's worth about 35 cents on the dollar. And so, okay, that's great. I want somebody to buy it for 35 cents on a dollar, but nobody can finance it. So, it's really hard to value not only to value these businesses, but for someone like myself to exit, because I'm going to be holding that note for a long time. So, I'd like to make a nice clean break of it, but
John?
that's not how it's going to happen.
John?
Yeah.
Actually, back on December 11th on the BMTA, I put down a bunch of ideas for what we should be looking at. And the last one that I have here, I'm 40, I'll be 47 very soon here. So I'm a little ways away, since I figure I'm going to have to retire at about 95. But the last thing I have is retiring officially or unofficially. Do you have a plan, exit plan? We need, I want you guys to have an exit plan, because I want you guys to find someone who's going to take over for you. This is not, I still have more color than all of you. So it's not, okay, maybe not John. But I don't want to see the shops shut down. it's not just competition. It's good that we have a lot of people doing this. We need guys to do this. We need to keep building that fire. I would like to see you guys get some young guys in there. I suddenly can't remember his name, John. Mark Brandell.
Yeah.
Just celebrated his 50th. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to go.
Well, he's not a young guy either. He's 75.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to him shutting down. He's got a couple young guys who have this idea that they're going to start a shop, and they're going to make big money. And I've spoke to them and I said, you know, I've gone through a lot of training and a lot of what you should be able to do in the general automotive industry. And when you get into restoration, the components, the extra time you're going to spend, there's such a thing as a break even, and then there's a owner's break even, all kinds of stuff. And John, I'm assuming since you came out of the business world, you can talk to me, you can run circles around me, telling me about KPIs, key point indicators, and things like that I really like to talk about, because I was the guy in the shop. That's how I started the shop, and I worked my way out of the shop. I love the shop. You can't believe how much I did not want to bring someone in here, because I want to be out in the shop. But that's not where I need to be. I can't find someone to run this kind of shop. So that's a very big key. And I can't find anyone to, well, I shouldn't say I can't, but it's harder to find guys to run any piece of this business in comparison to anything else. I'm sorry, I've gone about 8 different subjects.
No, I was just going to say, you know, the issue is also no one cares about your shop more than you do, no matter what you pay someone else and no matter how you organize it. And I'm very fortunate. You know, I can go to Amelia Island. I can go to Arizona for 2 weeks, and the place runs. I've got a good foreman, and my guys care, and I take care of them. You know, but when it comes to it, you know, I'm the guy that's going to Cars and Coffee on Saturday and Sunday morning, and I'm, you know, looking for new customers, and I'm the guy that's going to sit. I'm sitting on webinars like this, or going on Zoom calls. You know, and I was there yesterday, John, you know, Twist and Rick, you know, I'm out on the weekends doing this stuff, and it's saying hello to you guys, but it's also introducing myself and networking around. So, you know, it's owning the shop, the 8 to 5 stuff is simple. It's all the other things you do, you know, and I don't see my guys like, you know, running up and trying to harvest time on the weekends going, hey, I'll meet you there. You know, no, they don't. And so I just keep telling them, you guys need to know the same people I know. That's one of the things that it comes down to, you know, is like from a reputation standpoint.
Joe's gonna take off. John, I'm gonna get you to set back for a minute, and
I'm done.
And Joe, you're waving. You're gonna go, or Barney's on now. I wanted to introduce Barney because Barney's got the MGA Guru website. So Barney, you're in a quiet place tonight, looks like. If Barney will unmute himself, he's working at it. He knows more about the computer than all of us.
Hey, John, while he's unmuting himself, let me make one quick comment. It's Gary.
Yes.
I just wanted to extend a thank you. I failed to do that to a couple of the donors who were on this call to donate to the Hall of Fame. NAMGAR is a donor. Thank you very much. I heard NAMGAR on here. And the MGT registry is also a donor. So we really appreciate your help there. And of course, you, John, are a donor as well. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, Barney Gaylord.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you on there. So you're a different kind, you presented a whole different face to the trade than lots of other people. Most of us have got more brick and mortar stores. You've got a pretty massive website. So how many hits do you get on that? Are they all MGA people?
Well, I haven't checked it for a long time. But last time I checked, several years ago, it was getting about 3,000 visitors a day from all over the world. And about 15 years ago, I think, I got a message from a guy in NAMGAR when they changed their structure a little, and they got a guy on the board called the communications manager. An editor and webmaster reported to him. And he contacted me, started asking questions. And he said, why is it that mgaguru.com gets, at the time, I think it was 1,200 visitors per day, and namgar.com or org, whatever, gets like 400 visitors per day. And I'm sitting there going, well, it's nice that I'm getting 2 or 3 times as many visitors as Namgar. And the answer is actually fairly straightforward. It's the same reason that they're losing members slowly and gradually. They're not serving the needs of the community. They're kind of introverted. They do what's good for the members of the club inside, within. They throw a really nice car show. They have a pretty good website to solicit membership. But when they actually get out there in the real world, they have a lot of stuff that's undercover in their website. It's accessible to members only. And I had a notion years ago to submit tech articles to NAMGAR for publication, even before I had a website. But I think the first one that I sent them was how to put the trailer hitch on the MGA, designed to build a full class 1 trailer hitch. And it was never published. So some years later, I think in the mid 90s, I had trouble with my engine. A starter motor fell out or something, broke a crankshaft, damaged a cylinder. By the time I got the thing repaired, it had a real bad oil leak out the back of the engine. So I got my drafting board and T-square out, and I conjured up this rubber seal for the rear end of the crankshaft in the 3-main bearing engine. And I sent that design to NAMGAR, and they never published it. So I kind of gave up on NAMGAR. And then years later, about 98, I started this website, primarily to post pictures of my Alaska trip. And then it got to be a convenient place to post the answers to the FAQs, so I didn't have to keep answering the same questions over. And then it started growing. I mean, I was adding tech pages like 200 a year for 15 years until it had 3,000 pages. And that's when it just took off ballistically, because there's no membership fee, there's no member dues, you don't even have to sign up or register, come and visit. There's no advertising on the site, it's free to the public. Everything's out in the open. And people come to visit to get the tech information. People are nuts for tech information. And NAMGAR is not doing that. They put all their tech information behind a screen where the public can't get to it. And so they're kind of introverted, serving their own members within and not really reaching out to the world at large. So I don't know if it's them to do it otherwise, but that's kind of the way they are.
So
now, me,
Barney, on your site, you list, I know you list shops, because I went on there just yesterday
yes.
to look for shops, to look for websites, but there I didn't see anywhere I needed them. And then, but I didn't look any farther. Do you have like lists of suppliers and stuff? Is there a page of suppliers and clubs and stuff like that on your site too?
I think I just lost you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I get you back.
Lost the connection here.
Okay.
I think you're back. What were you asking?
Oh, I was asking if you had a place on your site where you list suppliers and other clubs or MGA clubs or all MG clubs.
Yes.
Okay, right.
I hope this connection holds up. We have a list of all of the MG clubs and any, like all British clubs or clubs that have MGs in them. My website started out being MGA website, and then all this tech stuff is like common to all MGs, common to lots and lots of vintage British cars in general. So when I start visiting these clubs around the country, going to clubs that have MGs in them, I attend a lot of all British car clubs because there's more of those than there are MG clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So we started off with a list of clubs all around the country that have MGs in them. We had about 300 clubs in the United States, another 50 or 60 in Canada. And in 2014, we took off on this trip and started visiting all these clubs, all of them. And we have, except a few that we couldn't actually make contact with. I think we visited about 80% of those 8 months. And then the next, we went, 48 states kind of thing. And then we started going around again, trying to go back and get the ones that we missed. So we've got to go slower, right? That's why we started visiting the shops that work on the cars. Restoration shops, service, people who rebuild components and supply parts, right? Anybody who's in the industry, particularly that you'd write them a check for something to support your car hobby, right? We call these shops. And I started out, it took me 2 months or so to put together a list of 640 shops in North America. And then we started visiting them. Now, shops are easier than clubs. You just put the pins in the map, take the shortest route, and visit them between 9 and 4:30 during weekdays, right? Just drop in. For the most part, you don't need appointments. So we could hit 6 or 8 shops in a day if we're in a high population area. So we did do this, and we actually drove 40,000 miles a year for 4 years, 160,000 miles, and we visited 1,100 shops by the time we were finished. Got photos and notes on my trip log to go with all of them, and they're all in this shops list. So if you go there, they're listed by states and provinces. You click on a little link that says visited. It comes up with photos and notes, pictures of the shop, description, how many people are there, what kind of services are provided. And this list is pretty much up to date within the last 5 years. And we try to keep it up to date since then. We finished doing this middle of 2019 in the summertime. We finished off the 1,100 shops. So that's on there. It's like the North American Yellow Pages for vintage British cars. So we got a list of all the MG clubs in the whole country, most of the rest of the world as well, all the shops in North America. And there's over 4,000 pages of technical information on my website. I mean, you could literally restore a complete MGA from information that's on this website. And I've been working on this thing for God knows how long. I mean, I got my first MGA when I was 19 in college, 1968. Gave it up after a while, and then I got married, and then I got this one I have now. I bought it in 77, restored it, put it back on the road in 86, been driving it for 35 years. I have personally put 490,000 miles on it, so it has about 640,000 by now. And I used to race the crap out of it back in the 90s, autocrossing with SCCA, and break it and fix it and break it and fix it and get good at that, take it apart, put it back together blindfolded. This is why I started answering all these tech questions on the bulletin boards. So now that I got this popular website, I get messages from people like, did you know that this part that I bought from Moss Motors is really bad? They got a problem with it. I bought one and it's bad. What do I do? I said, well, the first thing you have to do is contact Moss Motors and tell them they got a bad part, because maybe they don't know. See if they have a solution for you. If they're going to send you another one, or if they're going to fix it or take it off the market or whatever, you got to contact the supplier. But they contact me because I have this website, and there's this big tech section, and in there's a section for faulty parts, faulty replacement parts. And when you get something really bad, we stick it in this list, and we kind of tell people why it's bad and don't buy it, and put some pressure on Moss or whoever it is to fix the part or take it off the market or whatever, right? Try to improve the situation. So people see my comments on the bulletin boards, and they see the comments on the websites, and they click my email and they send me a message and they start asking me about these bad parts. And I go, hey, I don't have anything to do with this. I don't want to be the middleman. You got to contact the supplier first. Now, if the supplier tells you there's nothing wrong with the part or they're not going to fix it, then we'll slap it on this faulty parts list and crucify them in public. So all this stuff is going on the website, and it just gets huge because everybody likes the idea that they get free tech information, right? Not even a membership fee or anything, right? So I'm in a business like you guys are in a business, but it's a totally different kind of business, because to me it's a hobby. There's no cash involved unless somebody wants to make a gratuitous donation or something, to help the cause. But otherwise, we never give anybody a bill for anything. We just go around to these clubs and stuff and find out who's got problems with their cars, put your hand up, and we'll go run a tech session to show them how to fix their car. But if you're not there, I'm not working on your car, right? It's not a business. So it's a hobby. I'm officially retired. So this business doesn't have to be a business making money. It's just a hobby. So I'm doing this, and it runs kind of like a business in the sense that there's lots and lots of activity. There's lots of so-called customers involved, visitors to the website, and we're doing some useful stuff. Okay, there just isn't any money involved in it. I'm retired. I get a Social Security check. We're on the road. In 2014, we gave up the house and left, so we didn't have to go back and take care of the house. So my son's traveling with me, and we're just a couple of homeless hobos with a car to get around, an old junker car that we just keep running because it runs cheap and the insurance is cheap. Most people don't look at vintage MGs like that. But I hang on to the thing because, geez, I can't afford to buy a new one, right? Just keep it running. But since I'm doing this and I'm getting all these tech questions about bad parts and stuff, and questions about service from shops, where do I get my car fixed and all this sort of stuff, I thought it was a really good idea to come and join BMTA so I keep in touch with you guys, see what you're doing, get feedback. Sometimes I feel a little bit like a labor negotiator, in between labor and business guys, right? Because, you guys are a click over there in the corner, you're the business guys, talk to each other, and you don't necessarily want to hear customer complaints, and the customers don't really know how to deal with you, and you're kind of at odds, like labor and management, negotiating salary and stuff, I'm sitting here in the middle, like, I kind of feel like a labor negotiator, but it's important for me to belong to BMTA because I got the inside track. I like you guys. You guys kind of understand what I'm doing. I give Moss a hard time from time to time, but for the most part, Moss kind of likes me because I'm test driving all their parts when I'm driving 40,000 miles a year. I can live test their parts and tell them what's wrong with them. And pretty often I tell them exactly what's wrong with them and what they have to do to fix it. And sometimes they do, right? So we get along well. But I'm just sitting here in the middle having fun because I don't have the financial problems that you guys got. Right? You're worried about how to make ends meet and pay your property taxes, right? And pay all your employees and try to salt away a couple bucks for retirement or something. And I'm sitting here going, hell, I'm retired. I don't even have a mortgage payment. I don't have any utility bills. My monthly phone bill cost me $35 and I put gas in the car, So it's kind of a chosen lifestyle. It's a lot of fun running around without any responsibilities and going wherever the wind blows you.
We all have a very different, not all of us have a very different approach to this. I wish we had a publisher here. They've got a very, very different view too. Maybe the next time we meet, we'll get a publisher, but we've got a lot of interesting people, and we've chewed up 2 hours. I mean, we didn't talk about anything except ourselves and how we all participate in this in different ways. Skip sent me a note on his phone. Well, there it is. It says, had a good time. He'll try to have his stuff sorted out. He didn't have a chance to talk. He's the marina man, the Austin Marinas. I mean, and we all, how many customers does Skip have? 8? I have no idea. But it's a pretty small little section. We all approach this in different ways. And I'm interested to get together again, go around quick, just because we've been on for 2 hours. And I'd be happy to stay on for 6, but 2 hours is probably enough. So let's just buzz around. I'll just call on you, just closing comment, something about next time we meet. Maybe we could do one of these a week. We could do one a day. Well, I don't want to host one a day. I'd host almost one a week. I would. Just whatever. Brian, what's up?
First of all, the two things we've all spoke about today are bringing the next generation in, whether that's employees, volunteers, or people who are just enjoying the hobby. That's the first thing we've spoke about. The second thing was wasn't money. Oh, it was it was marketing. The other M, marketing. Every one of us here is talking about marketing, and we don't have any true publishers. We have a few magazines that should be here talking to us as well. so those are the two items. The last item I'll hit really fast is, John, I'm very serious about building something. If you've ever used a Google spreadsheet, I use them all the time.
Okay.
I've got a number of questions that I would like to ask. I would like to say to everybody here that I'd like to find other questions. What would you like to ask other people who either run a business or run a marketing agency or anyone involved in our hobby? What question would you like to ask all of these people? If you have a question that you want to ask, can you send them to me? John, I want to talk to you and the board at some point.
Yeah.
And present this.
I'll chase this down. I'll talk to you and I'll talk to Carl. See what's up. So thanks. Tony Burgess.
I have no closing comments. As far as further meetings, normally Mondays are bad for me, but I mean, if I'm available, I'll certainly join because I find this interesting.
Okay, all righty. Okay, Rick.
Hey, this has been a great meeting tonight. I appreciate your efforts in organizing it. I think we need to promote within ourselves to get more of the BMTA memberships involved, not only on this, but on the website, on the question and answers, things along that line. COVID really hit us hard in not being able to have a couple of our annual conventions or meetings, whatever you want to call it. I look forward to having those again. It's the networking that comes out of that that really promotes this particular organization and industry.
I agree.
Okay, Bruce.
I'll take this one if it's me.
Oh,
Probably
go ahead.
Man.
Go ahead.
I appreciate catching up with everybody, and likewise, all good information tonight. Brian, I appreciate your willingness. I believe it was you that offered to rebuild the BMTA website. One thing that I would love
Not the website. I'll gather information, but I don't rebuild websites. Sorry.
Well, we might take the lead on it anyway. One thing that I think that BMTA could really expand on very easily and in marketing is so many online auctions and purchases of vehicles now. It sure would be nice to promote BMTA as if you're looking to buy a car in Sacramento, well, what BMTA member is there to take a look at a British car for you? And it sure seems like if our website could be a better place to send people to the BMTA website. I know our site primarily right now is more about internal information, but as far as marketing, I sure would love to be able to market to the world that, hey, if you're buying a car in Virginia, I'll be glad to take a look at it for you. Thanks, John.
Hey, great. Gary Kinsel?
Hey, John, just thank you and thank everybody else. I appreciate you letting me participate. Thoroughly enjoyable. And Barney Gaylord, I didn't get your website. I didn't write it down. What is that website?
It's MGA Guru.
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 Thank you.
.com.
Appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Hey, great. Sean. What do you want out of this?
I just want to say thank you. I enjoyed it immensely, listening to everybody talk. And we'll have problems to figure out what the answer is. I don't know what it is, though. Thanks again.
All right. Okay. John. You're working to unmute yourself. Sacramento. You're trying to unmute yourself. You're struggling, but you're still not unmuted. You're looking up and down. Try your space bar. Does space bar work? Just hit the space bar. Will that unmute you? Well, we're going to go to Bruce while John gets it figured. You knew how to do it before. The ravages of age, Bruce, man.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the conversation. Barney, I will take the message back to NAMGAR. I assume it's still appropriate today. We'll see what we can do to expand that beyond the members for sure. I think one of the things that we wrestle with, all of us as club members, is this issue of age. And I know as a Michigan rowdy now for about 12 years, we've talked about it almost at every board meeting. And it is a real big concern for all of us. And I don't know if we should somehow address this as a task force. There's an awful lot of smart people in this room, and certainly in the trade associations and within the memberships. And I think it's really a critical item going forward. That, I mean, I'll give you a little personal example. I have 5 grandchildren, and all of them are 21 to 27, and they're all educated. And I have one that really likes MGs, and I have 4 that could care less. And so that's a 20% accomplishment, if you will. So, and they were over yesterday. We had them all over, and I got one up on the lift, and one went out there and said, "Gee, Grandpa, I can't even believe you go underneath that thing. It looks like it's pretty dangerous to me." So it's all a mindset and what they're used to today. And I only bring it up because I heard about it earlier tonight, and I just think it's a major issue for us all going forward. That we got to figure out a better way to get the younger generation involved in the cars, the business, the technical end of it. And that's my final word, if you will, John. And thanks.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for
Bruce, thank you. Barney,
Yeah.
I don't know, get closing comments?
Closing comments?
Closing
It's
comments?
nice, and I enjoy these sessions. I like being a member of BMTA and talking to you guys. And I hit every one of them that I can possibly get to. I hit most of John Twist's technical seminars as well. I mean, you know, I'm that guy. I'm retired. I got this flexible schedule. I can do that. I just enjoy being here and happy to talk to you guys.
Thanks. I didn't see what I'm everybody's probably aware, but I do semi-monthly. That's twice a month. Do technical seminars, and I get the most I ever had was like 250 people on one time. But you know, everything settles down to a certain group, and so I get pretty much the same group over and over now. But this past Monday, I got, I don't know, 125 maybe. 150 is pretty common, and they're from everywhere. We had a guy on from Hong Kong and New Zealand and Australia, and Norm would like to come on from, Norm Ewing would like to come on from South Africa, but the power's never working. And then all over the United States, and everything from piston diameters to bizarre. Yeah, I can't get oil pressure in my car. To what kind of tires do I buy, or what shows are going on. It's a wide ranging, but it's MG. It's not Triumph or Healy or anything. It's just MG. But anyway, I have a real good time doing that. And then I beg. I got a PayPal button, and I beg, professional beggar. But it works out, you know, and I make a couple $100 or so every time that I do the session. So, you know, it pays me a little bit for my time, and I love doing it. So since I don't have a shop anymore, I loved closing my shop so much I did it twice. But anyway, this time it's closed for good. So, and all my expensive tools just were assumed by Forrest Johnson at Rusty Moose Garage. Yeah, you wish you could get somebody to pay for that stuff, but I passed it all along because it was more important to pass it on than hold it in drawers at my own place. Anyway, do we get together I'll put it up on the website, you know, on the BMTA website, and I've got the mailing list now, and I'll do a report of this just briefly and hit the high points and the takeaways and so forth. And let's get together, and let's plan to get together in a month. And then maybe we have a breakout session some other time. You guys get in touch with me. We can do a breakout session. And if you want to talk about shop procedures and check-in lists and check-out lists, or just one night for horror stories, those are always good. Geez, I had Ron Gammons Brown and Gammons in England. He came over as a guest for our summer party. I don't know when it was, this 1988, 1992, something, long time ago. And he and his wife Valerie, and he was our special guest, our invited guest and everything. And I sat down, he's the head of the MG Car Club England, and had him for dinner and stuff. And I wanted to talk about, like really awe-inspiring things. And we ended up telling one shop story after another about customers that had screwed us and things that had fallen off cars and wrecked them. And just shop stories. So maybe we should do that some night too, because those are those are always fun. So anyway, thank you all for joining in, and I talk to each of you regularly. Gary, I think I'll see you tomorrow night, and anyway, we'll have a good time. So thanks everybody for being here, and pass along the word to the other people in the BMTA. Obviously, if there were a dozen of us on tonight and Skip didn't get to talk. But there were 11 of us that talked, and it's taken 2 hours. So if we have 40 people on, the amount of time everybody gets to talk is just a little. So I don't know. We'll just work with these and tune them up and go along, and maybe we'll have certain subjects sometime. Who knows? But I'm keen on continuing to do them. So drop me a note. Let me know what I did wrong and what we can do better next time. Stuff like that. So until then. See you later. Oh, I made a copy of this, and I don't want to put it out on YouTube for everybody to watch, but I did make a copy, and I'll figure out how to get it up on YouTube private. And then if you want to watch this for 2 hours, some night when you got nothing else, I'll give you an address. So anyway. Okay, thanks very much, gentlemen. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Thanks for putting it together.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.